everybody, and welcome to Passport to Design. This is the show where we talk about everything design business. I'm your host, Christina Richardson, and I was born in the northern part of Sweden a very, very long time ago. I have a past as a construction and mechanical engineer, and I've always been a designer at heart. And in the 40s, my 40s, I made the jump and I switched careers. And now I run an international design business. And I'm here to tell you that the road to designhood can look a bit different. And also that if you want to work internationally, it's absolutely doable and you can do it. Let's jump into today's guest. She is extraordinary. I mean, she designed the most spectacular staircase at Kip Space Show House in New York this year. Absolutely gorgeous. She traveled the world, and this is crazy. She almost worked as a guide at the Taj Mahal. I'm super excited for you guys to meet Swati Goorha. Welcome to Passport to Design.
Hi, my name is Swati. Thank you, Christina. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, and you look gorgeous. I'm so glad that you're here, and I know that our audience would love to know a little more about your background. Can you tell us
Okay.
about your background and how you became this amazing designer?
So I was born in India and I traveled a lot as a child. And my father, he used to be posted in a city called Agra. And Agra is where a lot of the Mughal architecture is, which includes Taj Mahal, Red Fort, and a lot of storied forts and buildings.
Mm.
As a child, whenever we would get guests in our house, first I used to follow my parents and listen to them, and then they would like send us with the guests, and the guests will hire guides, and I would listen to every single beautiful story they had to tell about the architecture, the design, the flowers that were engraved into the marble, and all these beautiful stories that were related to color, architecture, and design of those buildings. At some point I had heard the stories and walked through those places in Taj Mahal and all these forts so many times that our guests who would come visit us would stop hiring guides, and I became the guide. And here I was, a 10-year-old, walking all these adults and telling them the stories of how these buildings were made, and how each flower is a culmination of like 50 small semi-precious stones. And I know I could even recite the names of all the stones that were in different flowers, malachite, citrine, this and that, and all the different kinds of marbles that were used in architecture of Taj Mahal and all these other buildings, and where they were imported from, and what was the story behind all the little like details in the architectural buildings. I remember when I was little, my mother still likes to tell the story that one time I was conducting this tour with a guest who had come to visit with us. And there were like at least 4 or 5 other groups that started following us, but because they were so fascinated on my take on the architecture and design and the stories from the past. So I was very fortunate that I could have this kind of exposure when I was a child, to be able to see these buildings in person, to be able to touch those stones, and not just go there as a tourist once and be done with it, but go there over and over and see how the sound reverberates in the architecture, how these little details really make up for, it's not just decorative, but there's a storytelling. There's
Mm.
like the story of the person who's buried in the Taj Mahal that's intertwined in those vines that are made. It's just like storytelling through architecture. So I was very fortunate to have this experience of not just being able to live in a city that had all this gorgeous architecture that's actually known all over the world, but also being able to travel all over the country and see this in person, different things, different storytelling from buildings and architecture. When you go to churches, you look up, it's nothing but stories. You look at the walls, you look at the stained glass, it's nothing but stories. told to people who can't read through like these different motifs and paintings. So that kind of like permeated into my work too a little bit. I like to do storytelling through design. We talked about the staircase that I designed for Kipsby, New York.
Yes, I mean storytelling. If that's not storytelling, what is? Can you tell us about the story of this amazing staircase? I've never seen anything like it. I almost started crying when I saw it the first time. I was like, "Oh my gosh." Because it was so
Thank you.
refreshing to see something new and something that I knew was telling a story. Can you
Thank you so much.
please tell us about
Yes.
it?
100%. So when I was invited to do the space, I only had what 5.5 weeks to 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks before deadline when they called us and they said, "Would you like to do Kipsby, New York?" I mean, it's been a dream of mine to be able to do Kipsby, New York. So I didn't think twice and I was like, "Oh yeah," without even knowing what the space is. And then a couple
You
days
didn't know
later, we
what the
went and saw
space
this.
was? You just
I
said,
mean, I kind of they said it's a winding, it's a beautiful winding
oh,
staircase.
they
And I
did.
was like,
Okay, okay.
yeah, they told me over the phone, but you when you think of beautiful winding staircase, you're like, okay, one floor of beautiful winding staircase.
Mhm.
Little did I know we're connecting 5 floors together.
So you didn't know
So
it was 5 floors.
I didn't till I till I went there. Anyhow, I went there and I saw how distinct these two parts of the staircase was. One was a little more under the floor kind of and almost like terrestrial, going under the earth kind of vibe, very like um covered, very cavernous in its approach. And the top two parts of the stairs that connected the second floor to the fourth floor was almost like an architectural winding staircase, but it wasn't typical. It had like this very architectural look to it, but it was also not very straightforward. It was very narrow and it was tight and very dark. So I knew I wanted to bring light into it, because otherwise it will be very dark and cavernous and would not have that effect. And then as I was going from down to up, I did that a couple of times, up to down, down to up. I was like, this is such a perfect staircase to talk about journey of transformation, dark to light. And also, I had recently gone through a personal transformation too, where I had a little bit of a burnout going on and I wanted to like just basically look inside for inspiration. And I went on this meditation retreat that really helped me just like clear out the clutter and just be mindful and think about what it is that I started design for and what it is that I want to do with my own design practice as a creative and what it is that I want to put out into this world. And it was just such an epiphany. Sometimes we keep doing things, and we take on projects and we forget why we started this whole journey for. And that was like such a great, like this past 1 year had been such a self-reflection year for me, just to go back to my roots and to understand why it is that I became a designer. So when I got this space, the moment I walked in, the moment I was walking up and down, I was like, it's going to be a journey of transformation. It's going
You
to be
just knew it.
metamorphosis.
You
I
knew it.
just knew it. It just came to me
Instant.
because it has to be a journey of some kind. It has to be a storytelling of some kind. And what about making it a journey of transformation? So basically, the way we design the staircases, the lower part is different, but still similar to the way upstairs looks. So the lower part is the night, more terrestrial, more going under the earth kind of vibe. So it was a purple night with lights in it that comes up and becomes a blue celestial night. As you come to the second floor, the dawn strikes, and as you keep going up, it becomes a bright, beautiful day all the way on the fourth floor.
Amazing. And that rug that kind of sweeps the whole staircase. Absolutely amazing. So, I mean, the design, I think this is the most photographed, what do you say?
Photographed.
Um,
Yeah.
room in Kips Bay this year. I mean, it was a total success, right, for you? Do you feel like so how did the whole Kips Bay thing come about? Like, did you apply or did they just call, or like how does it work? I know that the clients or our listeners, they really want to know like how does it work, this Kips Bay thing? How does it work?
So in my case, I was very fortunate. My name was recommended to them, so we
Mhm.
did not apply. And also I think there was somebody else who was supposed to do the stairwell, but something happened last moment and they had to step out. And then somebody in the show house recommended my name. And they called us, they saw a portfolio, and then they said, well, congratulations, you're doing Kips Bay.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's not easy. Let me just reiterate. Like when you go into doing Kips Bay, there are a couple things that you have to understand. Number one is if you have that 6 week of install time, it is going to suck up every single moment of it because it's such a tight time schedule, especially for New York, because New York houses, New York apartments are a little different. They're tighter, there's old walls, plaster and lath walls, and then there are so many codes and so many different things that you have to think about.
And also
So
the whole logistics and
yeah,
dumpsters and yeah, in a big
you
city.
can't have dumpsters in New York, so it's take in, take out kind of thing,
Mm.
because you can't really put a dumpster outside
No, yeah.
in the city of New York. So there'll be like trash pickup that will come, or your contractors are responsible for taking the trash out. It's very different, I'm sure, in Palm Beach or here in New Jersey, where you could put a dumpster out, or other
Yeah.
show houses where I've done it, in not in New York City, where you have a dumpster outside and everybody puts their trash. But New York City is a little bit of a different animal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it really did, like that 5.5 weeks that we had, we worked every single day, including the weekends, to make sure. And not just us, like we were so fortunate in the people and the vendors we found to collaborate with us, that I don't think such a custom space, which was so technical, would have come to life if we did not have it. Nothing in my space was simple by any standards, or
No,
straightforward by any standards. Um, all our walls had LED wallpaper, which was done by a British company called Maystyle LED Wallpaper. We were very fortunate to work with these two amazing sisters. And that whole wallpaper for those 5 floors is made by hand. So each light is actually installed. It's all very technical. It's a patented technology these sisters have. So that wallpaper was all made by hand. They worked night and day to make it happen. And it was like it came in parts, and then also this paper needed 7 days to dry before you could turn it on, because it has all these wiring behind it.
oh my
So
God.
we literally had to, and then the walls were not straight, and there was so much work that needed to go in to be able to install. We had to make over 250 holes to be able to run wiring behind plaster and lathe walls to be able to like electrify this paper. Let's
Yeah.
just say that even if I had a year, that would have not been enough to put this project together.
And you
If
had
somebody
6 weeks.
We had literally 6 weeks to put it all together. Then our rug too. I designed this rug for the space. It had
Yeah.
not existed before. It doesn't exist right now. And basically we designed exactly what colors we want, how we want the rug, and the stair is not straight. So every single stair had to be templated to be able to create that dark to light look, and the colors change as you go up. So it was very technical space, and I don't think we would have been able to pull it together if we didn't have great partners with us. We can come up with a concept, but if it's not installed properly, and if it doesn't have the effect that you want, it's all just like fluffy clouds in the air.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate that I had this great concept come to me while I was traversing these stairs. And then I was able to actually install it and have all these perfect people come at the right time. There were times where I was like, I'm not going to have a rug because it was such a short timeline.
6 weeks is not a lot of time for a customer.
Oh, and then in this 6 weeks, I also had to put a design together before we went to, the whole installation and find these vendors. So basically, it took us 1 or 2 weeks just to think of a concept and then start reaching out to different vendors. And there were a lot of vendors who said no to us. Like, don't like a lot of vendors turned, especially for rug. Like, I don't think I found somebody to do the rug till like 3 weeks into the process, because
Oh my
a lot
God.
of people turned us down. A lot of people said to us, well, you'll have to do broadloom. And I was like, I am not doing broadloom. I'm not putting just another rug that's basic, because what is the point then of doing, the show house? The whole
True,
point is to
true.
create something that's memorable, that is unusual, that will last in people's memory for a long time, and it has an effect on the people. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
Just
do.
doing another room that looks like a room that could have existed in somebody's home, that, especially when it's a staircase, like doing, if you had a proper room and you did it like, a proper, I didn't want the staircase to be like something that people are going up and down through to see all these amazing rooms off of it, but just forgetting the staircase because, oh, it's a staircase. I
Yeah,
wanted people to really have that experience when they're traversing these staircase. So it was the chandelier was custom, the ceilings were all Venetian plaster that were
yeah.
hand done.
It was.
It was quite a lot to pull together until they were like, till last week I couldn't sleep because I was like, I don't know what's going on, because there were just so many and plus everybody was moving. This is the only staircase that connects the whole house, so
Yeah.
all the other designers were moving in, construction crew was moving in, our walls got trashed. There
Oh
was a
my
lot that
gosh.
happened.
So they were walking through your project the whole time while you were working on it.
Yes, and our team had to work at night to be able to, the rug was done after hours. A lot of Venetian plaster was done after hours, like till 3 a.m. There was like a
Oh,
lot of work that had to be done after hours when the highest house quiets down, because stairs have a great impact if they're done right. They're memorable, but they're also extremely, extremely hard spaces to do.
I agree. And I have a question about like the labor, because the vendors, they probably sponsored this whole thing, but what about the labor? Did you get like construction workers, or did you have to pay for it, or how did that work?
We had to pay for a lot of we had to pay for electrical, which was quite hefty bill
Hmm.
because we had so many different, aspects of lighting the wallpaper and
Yeah.
stuff like that. We had to pay for painting. Our Venetian plaster company, they were extremely generous. They wanted to showcase their work, and this was a great avenue for them. And they actually did the whole Venetian plaster aspect pro bono. So
Okay.
but we had to pay for painting, we had to pay for wallpapering, the electrical,
Yeah.
and then installation of the rug. So there are a lot of bills that do come with it. And it was very expensive proposition, especially because of the complexity of how the space was. But we were very fortunate in most of our vendors who were generous in sharing their services and their product for us so that
Okay.
they could be part of this storytelling process at Kips Bay. And we could share their work and highlight it. So we were very lucky in that. But all the labor, the shipping, all that cost, that definitely boils down to the bills you pay.
Okay. And do you feel like it was worth it? Would you do it again?
So it's very fresh right now.
It's too
It was
fresh, too
definitely,
early.
yeah. Yeah, it's too early. There was somebody else who walked through, and this was a show house I'd done in the past, and they were like, "Oh, that house, it happens once every 3 years. Like that house is happening again next year. We definitely expecting you to do it." And I was like, I don't think so. I think I need a break from show houses, because like this past few, I did one last year, then I did this one. So it's like a lot back to back. But to overall to tell you, like I made some really good friends at the show house, and the organizers were amazing. You know, Nazira and her team, they are great. We did get a lot of press, and a lot of attention from a lot of different, you know, you could be doing the best work, you could be super talented, you could be doing amazing work, but unless somebody knows that you're doing it, it doesn't exist. So I think it was a very good opportunity for us to showcase what we are capable of, what I am capable of as a designer, as a storyteller. And you know, not and to have people walk through and have that epiphany. It was just like whenever I was there, it was, to me, it was just very heartening to see when people come down from the stairs after I have told them what to look for, and then go. And there were sometimes people who would have done the stairs, and these are not easy stairs. Like I would be huffing and puffing by the end of it if I was going up and down to my. There are people who went up, came down, they were like, I want to do the whole thing one more time. So they would go down all the way to the garden level and do the entire stairs again. And and then come back and then shaking their head and saying, oh my God, I don't even know how, you know, this is so magical. This, and it was just very heartening to hear that, you create, but you don't know whether people are relating to what you're creating. Are they getting it? You know, because you're creating, you put your heart and soul into things. And sometimes when you're doing your own projects, you know, you're creating for a designer, you're telling their story and it resonates with them, and it's instant feedback. I love it. My friends come in and they were like, this is so you, this tells so much about you. That's the kind of comments we always hear. But when you're creating on a scale where like 25 to 30,000 people are walking through the house, you don't know if they would get it, you know. And
True.
to be
Yeah.
able to see that epiphany in their eyes and that feedback and that, oh my God, that gave me the chills kind of feeling. And, you know, this is so creative. And oh my God, I've never seen stairs like this. That was kind of what my goal was with creating the stairs, to be able to show a different perspective first,
You sure
to be
did.
able to show that, you know, spaces don't need to be sterile, you know, they don't need to be just rooms of utility. They can be spaces can be storytelling. Spaces can be places where somebody walks in, they're like, they know who you are as a person, so, or what you're trying to say. And just basically like a beautiful painting, a space can actually, you know, the more you look at it, the more you understand. You know how you've seen in galleries where people stand in front of an art piece of art and they were like, every time I see it, I see something different.
Yeah.
I would like people to have that kind of effect when this day, like when sometimes I'm given an opportunity to design spaces that are so public, to be able to have that experience. You know, every time I walk through here, I learn something new, I see something new, because that's the experience I had as a child when I was walking through the architecture. Because every single time, I must have walked through Taj Mahal at least like 100 times, maybe a little exaggeration, but you know, at least like 40 to 50
Yeah.
times, if not more, as a child. And every single time I would notice something new. I didn't see this before. And I thought I knew it back of my head. I can close my eyes and I can actually imagine myself walking through the building. But every single time I walked, even as a child, through those buildings, and I actually later on took my son to see the building with my husband, and I was like telling him all these different things, and I was noticing, and it was just like coming home, you know, looking at this building, touching the stones again. It was just really beautiful. And even now, from a fresh eye, as a grown-up's eye, it was just such a different building, and there's so many different things I absorbed. And I hope to be able to have that kind of soul and life in the work we do as designers and architects.
Yeah. I think it's very important. And especially nowadays when I feel like Instagram is great, or social media is great, but the designs out there tend to be very much the same. They don't really have a soul. But when I looked at your staircase, and then you told me about Taj Mahal, I was like, ah, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so do you, I know we have a lot of listeners that are just starting their journey as a designer. We also have designers maybe working for other designers and maybe considering starting their own business. What would you do you have do you have a good piece of advice to give them just starting out?
Yes. So one piece, somebody actually, I was talking to somebody this Friday. I think I was talking to like a few design students I mentor at one of the schools here. And I was talking to them about this topic, and somebody asked the same question, you know, what advice do you give people who are coming out as fresh design students who want to eventually open their own design firm, or you know, people who are starting out or changing careers or whatever different aspects as new designers.
Yeah.
The one design advice that I have for anybody who is coming into design, there are a lot of us now, you know, in the little town that I live in New Jersey, it's one of the most saturated interior design market, and they're fabulous designers I love and respect, and we are all great, but we are all very different, and there's a different client for everybody. But one of the things that I would like to tell everybody who's starting out is be authentic to who you are. Don't try to be Kelly Wursler. Don't try to be this. Don't try to be that. Don't try to be Joanna Gaines. Don't follow somebody else. Yes, look at everybody's work, get inspired, because you cannot exist in a bubble. But also, don't try to copy other people. Don't try to be somebody else. Be your authentic self. That's the biggest. Everybody who's successful as a designer, or anybody who's made it and we tell their names or we talk about them, is because they are them. And there was nobody else like them at that time.
Yeah.
It is very important to be authentic to who you are. If it's maximalism, do it well, do it the way you want. If it's minimalism, do it well, and do it the way you want. Don't follow trends, don't follow what other people are doing. Stay authentic to yourself. And that's been my mantra from the day I started. And you know, there are times when you kind of feel you're off kilter. You just kind of have to come back to the axis of remembering why you started it, who you are as a creator, and just stay authentic to yourself. And then success, failure, that's our design industry is always like this. There's no trajectory upwards. It doesn't work like that. There are months that you're like so busy, and then there are months where you're like, where is everybody? It's so slow. And then there's like, it's literally, there's no even keel, there's no upward swing constant. It's always up and down. Just if you want to stay in the game for a long time, if you want to stay in the game for just have your own unique voice, because trends will go, trends will come. You know, white kitchens came, now colored kitchens are in, now then there'll be something else that comes in, and now the natural wood is in. It doesn't matter what is in, what is out. Don't follow trends, just be who you are. Let people know you for what you stand for. And if you do that, I think you would do well.
Yeah. True. That was a great piece of advice. Amazing. So we're closing up towards the end of this show, and I have a segment called Three Quick Ones.
Okay.
So very important, very, very important segment here. So are you ready?
Yes. Do I
So-
know what these three quick ones are?
First question
Okay.
is favorite designer apart from you and I, of course.
Favorite designer. I actually kind of like Axel Vervoet right now, because he's gone through such a big transformation of being a maximalist to being a minimalist, but like he's very authentic to what it is, you know, to be able to create such mausoleum-like spaces. And, you know, it must take some kind of chutzpah to be able to create such a strong statement in design and being authentic to himself, that I really do think he's I've always liked Henri Samuel. He and there's so many amazing, and obviously I'm like put in place and now I can't think of names, but I think these two definitely come to mind right now.
Well, yeah, it's called Three Quick Ones for a reason. So,
Yeah.
so I think you already touched this, but the biggest no-no when it comes to interior design.
Copying,
Yeah,
just for the sake of recreating somebody else's work is absolutely no for me. Because I really truly believe that if you're creative and if you want to create or put something else out into the world, make sure it's authentic. Otherwise, don't add to the noise.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's almost like a red thread through design. Do not copy, be authentic.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
And you know what? I know everything's already been done. I know that like it's very hard to redesign the chair, but if you can't put a few tweaks, then just specify somebody else's chair. Don't claim to create a chair. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. That's
Hmm.
great advice. Last question. Your
Hmm.
standard Starbucks order.
Oh, okay. It changes.
It does?
Yeah, you know, I was this whole journey I told you of mindfulness, so I stopped drinking coffee for a little bit, but I realized I think if I have to stay sane, I have to keep coffee on.
Mm,
So so
yeah,
I do iced coffee with coconut milk and one stevia.
and one stevia. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I do a venti Earl Grey, only one tea bag and some milk on the side, 2%.
Okay, that's good.
Just so
That's
you
good.
know.
I like I like tea. I was into tea for, like I said, I have my phases. I think like I get bored of things. I think it's a creative mind or whatever. I can't stick to one thing for like more than a year. There was a period I was doing like the chai tea, just not the latte, the tea bags with one stevia. And then I had the matcha period. The
So you're
matcha
all
latte
over the
period.
place.
I
Okay.
am. Yeah,
Yeah.
I genuinely like keep changing my order because after a few months, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to do
No.
this. I'm over this. But
Okay.
right now, I'm in my coffee phase.
All of a sudden I feel like a boring person. I maybe need to switch a little bit.
That's one of the things about me. Change has been the only constant in my life
Okay.
because we traveled a lot and moved places a lot when I was a child.
Yeah.
You know, and even now, like after every few months I get this travel itch and I'm like, okay, we need to go out. We need to travel. So we'll be gone for 15 days traveling to different countries. Even around my house, so like this needs to be changed. Even in my business, you know, we keep tweaking systems just because like even though it's working, can we make it better? So
Yeah.
I'm always on a tweak mode.
Quick
Personally,
mo
business wise, in life too, the only constant in my life is change
tweaks. The
and
tweak.
my coffee order.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, Swati. It's been, I get super inspired by just talking to you, and you're such an encouraging person. I love talking to you. I would love to talk to you all day, but I assume you don't have time for me all day, so we're gonna call it a quits here. Where can our followers follow you on social media?
Okay, so I'm on Instagram, Swati Goorha Designs.
Mhm.
And we are also on LinkedIn and Facebook, all Swati Goorha Designs. But Instagram we are very active in. I
Yeah.
mean, as active as we can be. Yes.
Mm. Great, perfect. And for all of you watching, if you have any questions or comments, you can DM me at Christina Richardson Interiors. Thank you so much, Swati. It's been a pleasure. And I mean, I hope to see you soon again.
Me too, me too. This was wonderful. Thank you so much for including me.
Yeah.
And I'm always very inspired by your work as well. You know, your trips to Sweden, I keep following you, and your
Oh,
Instagrams are so entertaining. And you know, just the
you.
different projects you do all over, photographing projects, etc. I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much. It was such a fun talk today.
Yes, it was. And thank you, all of you who have been watching. I hope you got some great advice and that you feel super inspired. Bye.
Protect your business. You've worked hard to build it. DSA Insure. Insurance for interior designers.